Let's take it to the concrete real quick. Let's take it back to the bricks.
You know when they come up.
You know what we do. We represent for our niggas, man. Our niggas, let's go.
Already was born ready. I'm more ready. I'm saying this now, making sure that the more ready. Yeah. We got some drop-offs, battle formation, I'm waiting for you to pop off. Right after you make your first move, get your rocks off. Next thing you'll head to the dirt, we are not soft. I took a loss, but nah, I ain't panicking. I be making moves, you staying still like a mannequin. Think you got the force, but shit, I'm feeling like Anakin. Hit the chick with that lightsaber, might save her. Doing moves tight major with light paper. And H-Town on them blades like an ice skater. Yeah. At that one West Passover, sit down, take a seat to the class over. Far from sober, but I ain't puffin' on Doja. Bartender, bring me tequila. Hold the soda, shit. Hold the ice too, flood it like a typhoon. We can get 6 shooters, 10 paces high noon. We had Player Street, all-star studded like it's all-star weekend with all my brothers. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ride for my, die for my niggas. Make sure me and the squad solidified. I'm down to ride, go to war like I did the job. You niggas whores, I'm the ball, plus I been a vibe. You can't feel me, unless you sip 100 proof. I got 100 soldiers with me, that's 200 boots. We get to stomping like a Kappa or a Q. But don't mistake me for no rapper, I'm the Jew. The streets cold, so I throw on the cover. You a bitch, don't get mad at me, get mad at your mother. Put my life on the line like I got me another, yeah, shit. It's like I'm on another level here. You second tier, I'm pulling guns, that's on Metal Gear. It's hell out here, but shit, I die heavenly. AK equipped with the drum, it holds 70. Twin revolvers, fuck at you ducks like Yosemite. Yeah, I hear a lot of rappers puffing on their enemies. I don't smoke, but I drink they tears like it's Hennessy. Yeah, nigga, but it is what it is. Ain't no nicotine, but I is with the cig. I just had a dream and I did what I did. And Philly bodies dropping every day where I live. So I don't even wanna hear about rappers. Heavy gut punch, knock the air out rappers. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. Ain't nobody fucking round with my niggas. You know who I go to ground with, my niggas. You know when they come around, if they wanna clown, then we gun them down for my niggas. For my niggas. My niggas, alright. Ride for my job, for my cry for my niggas.
You know what time it is, y'all. I don't know how many times I gotta tell y'all, man. This brotherhood is crazy. And all we do is rep for our niggas. Forever. Hold on 1 second, man. Let's take it down to Texas real quick, man. One West, we universal. Let's talk to him.
When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. In this nation, my skin is my sentiments in society. Laws made because they feel the greatness inside of it. Crackhead on the corner can sing like Ryan Osley, and we run from the cops like track meets the irony. Cause every nigga in the Olympics straight out the hood. If we get where we come from when it's all good. $1 million slave with survivor remorse, that's textbook. Looks divide and conquer, inspire others to work harder for minimum wage. To shine like you on center page. Welcome to the rat race. Now you a sprinter, look down on those can keep your pace. These young bulls is Lazarus, the man in the mirror looking you in the face. You reap what you sow, the fruit will grow. the triangle, pass baton like the rock and give and go. You either build or destroy, make your choice, bro. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. All these atrocities in my isosceles cause animosity when hope is a limited commodity. Rats in the race of opportunity with success rates. It's a low probability. I mean they build a prison before we even leave elementary. And Christianity got our people retarded spiritually. I mean seriously. You're gonna be in heaven with those that committed genocide on your ancestry. I'd rather be in hell where at least you know your enemy. Make it make sense to me. But you got natives in your blood and celebrate Thanksgiving. Work you like a Hebrew slave and won't entertain a simple possibility. The Jew is you. Simply, in reality, they call you anti-Semitic. The viscosity of a carbon copy, the shame, originality. The kingdom of heaven is within. We just saw the earth, the children of God. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin.
You've been wicked to the Most High's children, man. You've been destructive to the 12 tribes of Israel. Let me tell you something, black man. You got to put on your strength now, man. Put back on your strength and might, black man, because your day is coming. Your day is coming because the Lord is going to bring judgment on this earth. The Lord wants black men to be able to be men again. The Lord wants to stop the white man from killing our babies in the abortion clinics. The Lord wants us to get off the drugs and then raise our families back up to be the men and women of the Lord, man. But there's something in the middle of us right now. What is that? That Christian church, man. Get with me, brother. Joel, the 3rd chapter, 1st verse. Read it loud.
Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prepare war.
Do what?
Prepare war.
You hear what the Lord said? Declare this among the Gentiles, man. Why? Because it don't look like they're going to war now. It look like they in control and in power of everything. But for the prophets of the Lord that know exactly what's going to happen in the earth, we know that it's time to prepare for war.
Hold on 1 second, man. Let's take it down to Texas real quick, man. 1 West for Universal. Let's talk to him.
When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. In this nation, my skin is my sin, a menace to society. Laws made because they feel the greatness inside of it. Crackhead on the corner can sing like Ryan Osley, and we run from the cops like track meets the irony. Cause every nigga in the Olympics straight out the hood, and we get where we come from when it's all good. $1 million slave with survivor remorse, that's textbook. Looks divide and conquer, inspire others to work harder for minimum wage. To shine like you on center page. Welcome to the rat race. Now you a spring and look down on those can keep your pace. These young bulls is Lazarus, the man in the mirror looking you in the face. You reap what you sow, the fruit will grow from every tree. That's how you know. Friend from fro that set the triangle, pass baton like the rock and give and go. You either build or destroy, make your choice, bro. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. When I roll around my city, all I see is our sin. The product of the environment we was raised in. You see, hell is conditioned, a cell made by men. The choices that we make, that box of sin. All these atrocities in my isosceles cause animosity when hope is a limited commodity. Rats in the race of opportunity with success rates. It's a low probability. I mean, they built a prison before we even leave elementary. And Christianity got our people retarded spiritually. I mean, seriously, you're gonna be in heaven with those that committed genocide on your ancestry. I'd rather be in hell where at least you know your enemy.
All right. Shalom Israel. Y'all about to come Isupk to the brothers. Y'all from all out about some y'all side to the sisters. We are the Isupk, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, established in 1969, 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are led by Commander General Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other organization. Live with Isupk Milwaukee. Pay your ties, go to Isupk.com. We are here in the new school in the Milwaukee location. Yeah, set up. A lot of folks get their done. For anybody that doesn't know the location, go to Isupk Milwaukee on Google. The address is 4221 West North Avenue, Unit 101, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53208. Phone number is 414-293-3869. Any questions, comments, and concerns? Feel free to engage in the chat. Our brother Lacom on the ones and twos can let us know what's happening. Shout out to Coffee. So today, get back into the LASHAWAN QADASH, the holy tongue, the Hebrew language. We're going to be doing some just very basic, straightforward alphabet. So we're going to go over the Paleo and the Hebrew. Give everybody a chance to pronounce it themselves, get familiar with the dialect, and how it's going to look in person. Now, everybody's penmanship is going to be a little bit different, but generally, you're going to see a ballpark kind of configuration on where everybody's expected to kind of be with this. Similar pronunciations. We're all going to be pronouncing the same words more or less the same way, but people's accents might even alter that a little bit. So if you're from down south, you might say, Ty, for instance, Maisha, you might say it with a down south kind of tone, a little twangy voice. Midwest, East Coast, West Coast, that could affect, certain factors in there. But for the most part, we're all going to be in the same place, studying the same things, the same applications of it, the same history. You got LASHAWAN QADASH classes all throughout the nation, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Canada to Central America to England. So, I mean, there's a stockpile of videos that you can catch from when General Kabbalah Mouth was doing it back in like the earlier days. But at least when I first came in, I'll consider those the earlier days, about 10 years ago. So I consider that about the earlier days. General Kilby used to do everything either phone conference, and I can't remember if we were going like YouTube Live at that point. But everything was kind of done over phone conference. No, we had that because we had to show it. Yeah. So we're gonna pick this back up with LASHAWAN QADASH.
Shalaki, what QADASH mean?
Oh, might as well put that down. Oh. So now the way the Hebrew language can work, kind of similar to Spanish in the effect of you might have the noun before the adjective. So the noun here is going to be Shawan, the QADASH. The adjective is going to be, the Shawan, which is going to be tongue in Hebrew. The QADASH is the adjective describing it as whole. Adjectives are descriptive words. The nouns are like a person, place, thing. So this tongue. La. Actually, so ha would be so really this is going to be 2. So describe what this is going to be. Like when you look at it in the Hebrew and then you see it right now in the English, it's going to look backwards to you from the way that we're normally used to reading out a sentence. You're going to see a lot of phrases like this in the scripture too, where it's going to read it one way in the Hebrew and you break it down to the English, and everything's going to look out of place. But again, the flow of it, it's kind of giving you like the proposition, and gives you the descriptors of it, or what the possessions might be, what it's pertaining to. So this is going to be pertaining to the holy tongue, the LASHAWAN QADASH.
So you said, what's the person, place, thing?
So the noun.
Noun.
And if you want to do like a proper noun, that's actually going to be more descriptive of instead of a building, you might say like the Sears Tower. Instead of a person, it might be a name.
Come.
Instead of West Coast, you might say California or something more more accurate. Like a proper pronoun is gonna be something more accurate. Yeah, we ain't talking about she, them, he, her, she, them, they, us, out. Like the pronouns that you see in the LGBT community, that's not what we're talking about.
That's right.
The LASHAWAN QADASH is a very straightforward language, primarily built up of consonantal sounds. The only so-called vowel sounds that we have attributed to is an I or an I. You're gonna see those characters here in a second. Everything else, well, let's just get into that. So we're gonna do the Paleo up top. We're gonna do the Assyrian below. In the middle, we'll give you the vocal expression of it. So let's see if this will fit all 22 characters in this size. Well, I guess saying while we're going. So ba, ga, da, ha. Wa. Za. Okay. Ta. Ta. Ya. Ha. La. Ma. Na. Sa. I. Slow. Za. Qua. Ra. Sha. Tha. Now again, other people's penmanship might be a little bit different. Me, myself, personally, I'm a little exaggerated with that swoop on the ma and the na. There can be you could be a little bit more rigid about it. You could be a little bit more fluid, but across the board, respectively, this is what the Paleo alphabet is going to look like. I'll just compare that real quick to the Assyrian. Good.
Shalaki, I don't want. Can I do the series?
You know, I want to restructure this because I do want to fit everything in on the same board because I want to show the comparisons. And I want to show them all at once too. I know it can be kind of difficult sometimes if we were to keep on switching back and forth. I want to show them kind of together on the same platform so we can have a better understanding on what we're looking at.
Shalaki, I could write in the I could write it in on a low or I could make it fit on the board.
You can do my job for me now?
Nah.
Yeah, that's right. It's like it will come. How does this look on the board, on the computer, on the screen?
It's law.
Good, it's legible. Let's see how this works. These little things like that. Ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ha, ma, na.
It's like
Yep.
the mod may need, the mod and not may need to be a little more legible.
Once we start getting to this angle, I think it's gonna get a little weird.
Yeah.
Sa, qua, ra, sha, ta. All right. Now let's do this in comparison to what else? The Assyrian. Now the only differences between, well, I shouldn't say the only differences. There are going to be a number of them that you're going to see. But the Assyrian, depending on where the character is placed, you're going to see a different form of it. So the first line that you're going to see is how it would appear in the beginning of the word. The correlated character forms underneath it, that's how that character would be used in the middle or in the beginning. I'm sorry. The top line is going to be in the beginning or in the middle of the word. The bottom character is going to be how it's used at the end of the word. Now, this is where the penmanship is going to get a little funky. Because normally when you see it, like in the Torah, in the print version of it, it's going to look like a script, like an old English kind of handwritten or typed up form. Very neat, very, very sharp. When you're writing it by hand, unless you're used to calligraphy, you don't have the tools that would make kind of those same forms. So again, ballpark figure, this is how the Assyrian Hebrew is going to look. I'm trying to keep these more or less in line with each other. Now this is where we actually start getting into some of the different. I hate it when we start swooping up. Going wrong right about there. A little bit of OCD never hurt nobody. Whereas Za, Ka, Ta. Oh, you know what? Damn, I just forgot about a whole letter. You don't have a lot up here. I got a lot. So all that hard work that you just put in, copying down what I just wrote, erase it, scrap it, trash it. Ma. Na. Sa. I. Ha. Za. Kwa. Ra. Sha. Ta. Select. I'm deprived y'all of a whole character. A whole lot of history in me, man. So, I. Za. Kwa. Ra. Sha. So now some of the characters in here that are going to have different forms of it, start with the ka. Ma. The na.
You like it all along.
Yep.
You messed up on Siri here, bro.
Which part?
You messed up with this. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. And then,
So you're saying I got them out of order.
yeah.
What? Double check it on here. And I do stand corrected. Those are out of order. What? So that second copy that you ended up having to do, trash that one. Okay. So there are a couple characters that appear different. I put a little exaggeration on the tails of these because when you're reading them in the script, imagine if he had, kind of a line here. This was your kind of expected height. Everything more or less fits in between these spaces. You're going to see the La would actually start off above that standard line and then continue the rest of the way. Same thing down here. You'd have your standard height, but some of these drop below. So if you were to see some of these side by side, you're going to see a height difference in between. Real quick before we go too far, just to give you the vocal, how it would sound, how it would pronounce. Ba, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta. Ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, ta, za, qua, ra, sha, ba. Now there are, let's see if we can find a couple quick examples. You're going to see some of these characters right next to each other. A lot of them are going to look the same. When you're reading it in the Assyrian, which is predominantly, well, pretty much, they got a monopoly on it. What the Torah is comprised of, the Assyrian text. So we'll just kind of skim through real quick, see if we can't find a couple that share characteristics, because you're going to see a lot of confusion when you're reading it. Labah, for example. And Lakah. A lot of times these get mixed up because they are very similar in form. Similar also to the Da, the Wa. This form of the Na and this form of the Ka. Okay?
Ain't them longer than, are them shorter than them?
Yeah, so if you had the Da here, and the last character was going to be that form of the Ka. Yeah. So now in the script, it's not going to be as noticeable. It's still going to be taller than it, but you might not see it as much. You're going to notice the problem more when they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
But if you got a couple of the words or a couple of the characters in between them, you know, it still might look a little bit different if you're not paying attention to the height. So if you're still not seeing that difference, it's easily mixed up. So now having things like the ba and the rock, pretty much the same form, except now you just got a line underneath. Compare that to, use a different color, the ka and the na. And then you got three characters, distinct characters, that share a lot of kind of similar forms. In a sense, now you can see just relatively the spacing. They're all going to share that same height. Now the spacing vertically, these will be the same. But now you can see this one has a thinner profile. That's something else to keep an eye on when you see them together. And you're going to notice this one kind of has a little tail on the end of it. This one pretty much is closed. It gets even worse when you see things like, a lot of people get these messed up. My ya, a wa, and na. And again, I'm very exaggerating with the length here, but you seem a lot closer. A lot of people will just kind of skip or like blend these together, run them over. You're gonna see that they all share a very thin profile. This is Daniel, what we use as the comma today. Very close to that form. Not very pronounced. If you were to see it in like a calligraphic script, it'd probably be even more subtle. But even between that Y and the za, a lot of people just kind of gloss over that. Another set. Ha. Ka. And tha. Again, all very similar kind of forms and shapes. Same height, similar width.
Yeah.
It's got different accents. Good.
Shalaka, I mix these two up all the time.
Very common. Very common. Because at least this one has that break right there.
Yeah.
This one we're going to see it's more boxed. These two, they're more curved. Which leads into kind of another mix up. When you see the ha. Because essentially, if you were to erase that, what character would that be then? Start off as a ha. Now, if we take that out, it's that more or less gone.
The da.
Close. Okay. The rock. Right, just same thing. Same thing. All you got to do, add this a little bit. So now, we got solid hot. Now that turned into a rock. What's that become? But because they all share that common just curve, that smooth corner there, which could also be pretty easily mistaken for the dot, except that it's more sharp. It's kind of pretty much a 90 degree, which is where we come into the problem. You see this and the top. Same kind of corner structure, very sharp, same width. Now the main thing that's going to let you know the difference is that height. So now, looking at the character placement in the word is also going to give you the indication, because you're never going to see this at the beginning of the word. You're never going to see that form of ka in the middle or in the beginning of the word. So that's to let you know automatically that it's not going to be this character. It looks that way. Just might be kind of overlooking something. So now, and actually, you know what, Barack is kind of a good example to use. Barak, which means bless in the Hebrew. You're going to see everything shares the same height. Everything was hitting that same kind of width. You got one that's a little bit taller, a little bit sharper in that corner. So again, looking at the placement of it, because at the end of the word, you're never going to see that form. Never going to see that form of a month. These are reserved for the beginning or the middle. And none. Those are going to be some of the biggest obstacles when we're reading in the Assyrian. So unless you're looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls, which will be written in the Paleo Hebrew, the current text that we have today is going to look like this. Now, the main difference between the Assyrian in its natural form and what we see as the Yiddish interpretation of it today is this ain't going to have the dots and dashes associated with it. So now the pronunciation, the connections between all the letters, all the characters to form that word, that's going to end up coming with experience and how we end up making the connections using the failure. One thing that we're going to see here, kind of correlation between our traditional script versus what we had in the Assyrian captivity. This is very pictographic, not so much, but you're going to see certain things that do kind of correlate. So obviously, pretty different, but not a complete jump out the window. Okay. Start tinking up a little bit here. This ain't too far out the way. It's a little foreign. Not that far out. Those are different. The top. Shit. You would add that on there. We're home. Now again, you take on that different form at a different point of the word. Lives are different, the lives are different, the lives are different. You that's kind of same. The Shahs are almost the same. Because again, this is very pictographic, and they wanted us to modernize it more or less for their sake. So some of those features started changing. Any questions so far? Okay. So now it's important to understand the pronunciation on both sides. The pronunciation is going to be the same. That's never going to change, no matter what version of the scripture you read. And again, we are primarily dealing with the Assyrian. So that's probably what we're going to be, working with most often than not. But it's important to trace this back into the Hebrew, to the Paleo, so that we don't lose touch with that part of the culture.
Come.
So with that, the different meanings behind it. And then this will help give you, going into the future, an understanding of the applications. Because again, with the Paleo Hebrew being pictographic, the way that alters the sentence structure is going to be important to understand based off the visual. So, for example, so this is the pictographic of cat. And we would call this, one second, Allah.
Like I use the pictographic calendar.
You want to see like a cow's head, horns, and the ears. You know, see that he gets it.
Yeah.
I work on my cows. I could have been almost ready to go.
But why is it starting upside down?
So now it does seem like at one point in time everything was more upright like this.
Yeah.
When it turned, I couldn't exactly tell you when that happened. My own theory that I wanted to play with in my head, which is not something that in the school, just is what I thought, is that, maybe it started off like this. Then they killed it. Now it's on the side. That's what I always thought, but again, that's not something I'm gonna teach. So now Allah. So now again, if you were to see this in the film, again in the English, we go from the left to the right. In the Hebrew, we go from the right to the left. So if I were to spell this out in the Assyrian, or in Paleo, Allah. Now here, for kind of the visual pronunciation of it, we see how this is pronounced by itself, and this is pronounced together.
Shalaka, I don't know, it would go with
So now just for an indicator, when you see that upside down, the frown face or the smiley face, I hate to use some kind of kiddie terms, but when you see the upside down curve, that lets you know that it can pronounce independent. When you see that upside right curve, it'll show the characters that connect. And then that second character that's associated with it, the vowel sound will drop off, and it's just left the consonantal vowel. So normally, that would carry a la, pa. When it's connected, the part falls off, and now you got Allah. Now, traditionally, again, we do not use these connecting notes in the Assyrian. So normally you would see it like this. Allah. Because again, at the end of the word, that ta takes on a different form. And you're going to see how the la will be taller up top, and the pa will drop below and be taller underneath. But instead of all the dashes and dots and this, that, and the third that comes with the Yiddish that use our script, keep it very, very simple and straightforward. So now the I associated with the cattle, meaning strength, power, leadership, the head of the thing. Just kind of depends on how you apply it. Then we got ba. And this would be pictographic for a house or a tent. That's going to be bayat. But yeah. God.
So that like I don't know.
Okay.
This means a tick.
Bayat, yeah. Well, and actually, I wouldn't say that this word means 10, but the pictograph is of that 10. Let me just double check real quick.
Because this means this means cattle. So this must mean
I just wanna double check to see if it's that straightforward.
come.
Which it might be like, but here's I guess the only reason why I'm hesitant about that right now, to just stay straightforward, it means that because depending on the context, like in our prayers, when we got the prayer blessed as Israel, Wahabayat Safari, and we're talking about our school.
But it's still a tent or a
Building, housing, things like that. So I just want to double check. One good tool to use is the Blue Letter Bible, because you can get the Assyrian, you can get the Assyrian interlinear. So we can check out. So house, more directly, house. And now again, you could easily just call your tent the house. Just depending on which application. Y'all good there? Y'all good? Are you sure? Stay focused.
You move right here.
Then on the context, these could be interchangeable. You could say house, it could really be a tent, not the traditional house that we see, modern times when we look outside. Because I'm looking, brick and stone, metal and wood. It could have just been that tent with the wooden frame and the hides wrapped around, or the brushed leaves built up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be straightforward house. It could be tent that you're talking about. But yeah, that would be like so that does correlate that can be a lot. Let's double check on that as well. Yeah, so it's got a different form, got a different word used there initially. But you can see a lot of different and so they got Bahmat, it's the main word for cattle, but we can look up. Might not have it that way. And it's destroying the lexicon slide again. Yeah. Oh yeah, please. Understanding how to use a lexicon will come in handy. There we go. All right, so they have a few different, in the lexicon, they got a few different, I guess, definitions for it. So now, it is still definitely associated with the pictograph of a cattle, of the head of a cattle, but also has, for learning, teacher, numerically 1,000-fold, bring forth 1,000. So when we get into counting, we'll see this come up as well for thousands. What? So I was looking up cattle. I should have looked up ox. See if that registers different. I said, so that comes in a different. Let's see if there's a different application for it. Yeah, I'm mainly seeing Shawar for ox here, and then Bahama for cattle. So now the next. Because it gives a numerical equivalent to it.
Well, Colin?
A lot. And there you go. So if you were to look up a lot or 1,000 in the lexicon or in like the Blue Letter Bible or in the interlinear, it's going to come up as a lot. So more directly, yeah, this means house, and that's 1,000.
But Shalaki, I don't want can we just throw in the
Throw it out.
Because it don't make no sense. Calorie or calorie, unless you talking about it's 1,000 calories. But that don't make sense. The lexicon and the regular Hebrew letter.
So now, if we were to take it back in the day, different, because this was a currency. It was a form of currency. Cat, livestock, could have been sheep, could have been even your crops. Form of currency. Your chickens, yeah. Probably
That's
I'm saying that could have been just like maybe the standard. So this is something else I'll look into also. But this could have been just like the standard, 1,000 head of cattle. You were kind of saying that in the sense unless you're talking about 1,000 cattle, but just more directly. So the pictograph being the cattle, talk about strength and leadership. Well, the pronunciation of the vernacular of it translates to 1,000. So I'll double check on this. But when I'm looking it up, that's what we're getting. So now again, when we start counting, we'll probably see more of this.
okay. I get it.
Right now, just to kind of get good.
Slovakia, instead of cattle, when you count, it means 1 or 1,000 or 100 but when you are using as Hebrew lettering, it comes cattle.
Depending on the context, yeah. Says I would go because we're not going to go 998, 999 cattle. We're not going to fill that bridge into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to go, chickens, donkeys, 1,000. But a lot of it is just going to be depending on what you're referencing. It does seem the standard when we talk about a lot. When you see that, it's going to be 1,000.
So, I'll give it.
Yeah, and this is why we got classes. I'm still learning a lot of this stuff too. This is why we got classes every Friday across the board of the nation in all their respective time zones. 7 p.m. So like we started a little bit late today. 7 p.m. until about 9. Again, their respective time zones. So here we're Central, so you can catch us 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. The other, which is going to be 6 p.m. on the East Coast. It was like 9 p.m. on the West Coast. So, but again, there's a storehouse of videos, clips that you can check out, getting into the language from different brothers in different zones.
I forget so much of the Hebrew writing. So.
A lot, it's going to take repetition for us to make this the normal again. So this is represented pictographically with a camel's hump. But it's going to be more in reference to the camel.
But Shalaka, I don't know, was it camel's hump? Was it depicted?
Just a hump here.
I know that. know that means.
So in reference to the camel.
But what is the describe?
What is it? So in reference to a camel, but it's a pictograph of the hump. We might have to do a different class too on the deeper breakdowns on what these are pertaining to, because a lot of these are going to be prefixes, or not prefixes, but prepositions. So you might see, the by at the beginning of the word, and it's not talking about a house or a tent, because it has a different application as the preposition to the root word. So like if we were to look at the word, where is it? Prayers. It's like ba aratasa.
What does that mean?
We're going to get into this. All these are pronounced independently. And at the end of the word, the za takes on a different form. Otherwise, its counterpart would have been like this in the beginning or in the middle of the word, but at the end, it would take on that form.
But Shalaki, it's not my bad.
Hey, listen, you were right over here before when you were correcting all that shit. I'm gonna stop now. What's wrong with it?
Because I thought when it connect, then that's when you change the word. But I forgot Salaki me getting my struggle, but
Well, you saw all my mistakes up here so far. Don't be too hard.
but is the connecting or the last word?
Next.
Okay.
Strictly just its placement in the word.
Oh, okay.
So ba'arataza. In earth. So ba as the preposition is going to be in or the. Got to get better at organizing the notes here. But it's going to have a completely different, meaning and approach when you're using it as a preposition. We're not saying the tenth of the earth, just in this use of it, by is in. It also has another kind of application that all kind of coincide with each other, all were kind of related. So like, I'm losing it in my notes. Right? Yeah, a lot of the times, largely depending on where it's placed, that you know not only how to pronounce it, but then what kind of structure it gives to the word as a sentence. It's like just add it up. I don't waste too much time just because we get close to having to cut this short, but that's why I thought I just said. So yeah, in could be looking more at. Could be talking about with in a sense, like just depending on how you define it. Kind of giving the focus of what the root word is going to be. So in this case, it's going to be a rata sound, which translates into earth. So in this case, in the earth. Not the house of the earth, not the tent of the earth, not any other application of what the pictograph would indicate. Just in this case specifically, it's used for the preposition in, at, with. So in a lot of these words, you're gonna see a couple different characters maybe ahead of it. Basham. It's actually another good example. Because you might have more than one preposition in the beginning of the word. Basham. Ba'asham. So this is in the name. So Sham, name, in the. So now you can see how, all right, so Sham is your root word here. Now you have two prepositions. In the name. So a lot of Hebrew words are going to be kind of compound words, where this is, pronounced just as one solid form, where in the English you're going to see it's made up of three separate words, just again, compared to English. A lot of what you're going to find in the Hebrew, these kind of compound words, is kind of reflecting a concept. Now, we're just trying to explain it the best that we can in English with today's vernacular. And English being mapped up of all types of different languages from different cultures. Some of the words that we're saying in English, you might not know it. They're actually French words, Russian words, Dutch, Portuguese, Spanish words. A lot of them are Hebrew words too, Greek words. Just in today's vernacular, in today's pronunciation. If you were to look at Old English, the way that Shakespeare wrote things, it's a completely different form of the dialect, different pronunciations, different alphabet. Well, I can't say that so much. Kind of a different alphabet because they kind of had like A's and E's blended in with each other. Different forms back. But you're going to see how a lot of these words are kind of relative concepts that to the best of the English language's ability, we can break it down to this. Now, again, you're going to see some of these things that if you were to look at it, again, in the Blue Letter Bible, if you were to take some of these phrases, I don't know if I can show this necessarily. Lacan, if you could, for example, pull up Genesis in the Blue Letter Bible, Genesis chapter 20, verse 16. Okay. I want to make sure I got a solid example here. Actually, this might not be the best example, but in the linear. Actually, this one is kind of straightforward, I think. But you're going to see some examples of that showing up on the screen. I guess too late for that. We're about to cut this in a second here. But you're going to see certain things that are kind of missing, like pieces. We don't have, in this, we're not using a word for pieces. But in English, good? It is. Rapak, could you throw this on YouTube? Okay. So now, if you were to start off at the very top. in English, you're going to see and unto Sarah. In the Hebrew, LASHAWAN. With paleo. LASHAWAN. In Syrian. LASHAWAN. So, and unto. And I normally la, we would just use for two. Wa is going to be and. And then obviously Sarah, this is going to be a name. Sarah. So and unto Sarah. Sarah. So in English, it gets broken down to this way. In the Hebrew, this would all get pronounced more or less together. LASHAWAN. Is if that was kind of one word, but we're saying that whole phrase within that one word. So you're going to see a lot of this, where again it's going to have multiple prepositions. It might even have multiple possessives. It's like in the Lord's Prayer when we say our Father. We're going to see it as so those will be kind of together. But now, Nawa being our. And that's built up of two separate characters. Now, but the concept behind it, ours. This could also be, I think, is going to be us. Double check on that too.
Like it, I don't know. So, it's when you turn it into like in the English, it's our Father or in the name of Sarah or stuff like that. But in the Hebrew, it's one word.
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part, I'm not going to say concrete in every instance. It's gonna share that same format, but for the most part. And then another tricky part about it that can sometimes throw us off, which kind of relates it to how Spanish is set up. In English, our Father. If we were to put that literally into the Hebrew, you know, Abanawa, it should be Father ours. Okay. If we're gonna do that like verbatim tit for tat type shit, it would be Father ours. In English, to convey that thought, it would be reversed to say our Father. But again, in Hebrew, just in your mind, you're gonna understand that that's what it means. Just that's how it gets pronounced. So now we're going to see some things in here if we're going to go through it. Like when I was going over the prayers, you're going to see like whole sections of it where it's going to read one way in English, but then almost the last half of that whole sentence in Hebrew should have been at the beginning. It's just going to read that way in English, but it's not going to read that way in the Hebrew. It's going to get a little messed up. And that's why we're going to keep on chipping away at culture.
That's right.
In this language, we are the authorities. That's right. QADASH. I don't care how affluent they are in Yiddish. That is not going to compare to what we're doing here.
That's right.
So we are going to be the governors. We are going to be the schoolmasters, the teachers of our culture. I don't care what Michael Brown says. I don't care what other Israelite book clubs say. We have the Isupk Commandment Jemiana has the final say on the LASHAWAN QADASH. So as we're going through this, dissecting the different words, how the sentences are built up, how the phrases go, how the names go. And the more we chip away at it, obviously, the easier that it's going to be to have that overlap in modern times, so that we can understand it a lot easier and smoother when we're reading it, when we're speaking it to each other. So with that, because we are a little bit past the time, it gets a lot. We started late. It's about 9:06. So we'll be back next week. And we'll still go over kind of some of the basics building up to it, the different meanings of the characters, the different inflections that it can have, just depending on the application. Where it's going to sit in a word, in a sentence. We'll go over more of as classes go on. We're going to go into more of the prepositions, the possessives, the placements of them. And how to recognize when some of the characters are connected, when they're separate, or to help identify where the root word is. Because again, in that word Basham, the name of is kind of implied for the English use of it. We say, Basham Yahweh, and the name in the name of Yahweh. Of is kind of implicit in that concept. In English, they need that word of, because that just makes sense for English. Otherwise, you're going to take that out in the name of Yahweh. In English, in modern times, that wouldn't feel normal to us. So some of these little filler words are just going to be kind of implied in the Hebrew, because this is going to be more of a concept. Oh God! Instead of just a verbatim word by word, word by word. So you're going to see a lot of kind of concept, compound words going into this, so that we can help differentiate what the prepositions are going to be, what the root word is going to be, what the possessives are going to be, and that's going to help us identify this stuff a lot easier going forward.
Shalaka, I don't know. I hate the master language.
It's a bitch. It's a pain in the ass. It really is.
That's right.
And we got some excellent teachers in the obviously, General Kabbalah I don't know how's the hive out there in Harlem. I don't know Murad in Philly. I don't know Maccabi in Minnesota. The brother Raulban out there in the UK, he teaches a mean class. Texas, Cali, and again, there's a whole catalog of this stuff going back for years that you can look up on. So we're just kind of getting our foot back in Milwaukee at the new school, getting it set up. We got a couple new brothers in the class, so step by step. So with that, shalom, y'all watching me come to the brothers. Y'all smile out time about sending me outside to the sisters. We'll see y'all next Friday for the LASHAWAN QADASH at 7 p.m. Join us tomorrow if you ain't doing nothing else with your life. For the Sabbath service, 10 a.m. until noon. Looks like we might be going to Chicago this weekend too. So get ready to yell at white people. Keep it simple. All right, shalom.